The music was loud, the sun was high, and Matteo Conti had finally allowed himself one rare luxury: a day without suits, meetings, deadlines, or security briefings. Just a simple staff pool party in the backyard of his modern hilltop mansion. His idea, his invitation, his attempt at normal. It lasted 43 minutes, because at the 44th, he saw something that made his entire world freeze. Liam Carter, his capo, his second in command, a man he trusted with millions of dollars, was laughing in the pool with Sarah Davis, his secretary, his Sarah. And she wore a black bikini that Matteo had never, in 2 years of working together, seen her wear. Her hair down, damp from the water, her skin glowing in the sun, her laugh soft and devastating. Liam splashed her. She splashed him back. They were close. Too close. Something in Matteo snapped before he even realized he was moving. He walked toward the edge of the pool, eyes locked on them, heartbeat pounding in a way that felt stupid, reckless, and deeply painful. People were drinking, dancing, tanning, but when they sensed his presence shift, they began falling silent. Sarah turned, still smiling, until she saw him. The smile vanished instantly. "Matteo?" she asked, blinking water off her lashes. "Is everything okay?" It wasn't. Not even close. His jaw tightened, voice dropping low. "Party's over." Everything stopped. The DJ froze. Someone dropped a cocktail into the water. Conversations died mid-sentence. Sarah stared at him, stunned. Liam did too, shoulders tensing as he swam closer to her, almost protectively. "Boss?" Liam tried carefully. "What's happening? We were just—" Matteo lifted one hand slightly, but his voice stayed calm, too calm. "There's nothing left to happen. Everyone out." Gasps, shocked looks, people scrambling for towels. The bartender turned off the outdoor bar lights. Someone shut the grill. A few whispered things like, "He's joking, right?" but moved anyway because nobody ignored that tone. Sarah's fingers tightened on the pool edge. "Matteo," she said softly, hurt already filling her voice. "You're ending the party because Liam and I were talking?" He didn't answer. His gaze traveled from her wet shoulders to her bare waist, then to Liam's hand resting a few inches from hers on the pool ledge. His stomach twisted. "I said the party is over, Sarah." Hearing her name in that tone felt like a slap. Liam stood straighter, trying to shield her with his posture. "Boss, with all due respect," Liam said, "we weren't flirting. We were talking about the steak on the grill and—" "That looked like talking to you," Matteo snapped before he could stop himself. "In my pool, with my secretary wearing—" He clamped his jaw shut. Sarah pressed a hand over her chest, the towel still draped on a chair a few feet away. Her cheeks flushed, not from heat, from humiliation. "This is ridiculous," she whispered. "You're acting like I did something wrong." Matteo didn't answer. He couldn't. What would he say? "Yes, you did. You made me feel something I'm not allowed to feel?" People were still evacuating awkwardly, pretending not to look. The scene was becoming painfully public. Liam pushed his hair back and spoke calmly, even though Matteo could hear frustration under the surface. "Boss," he said, "I swear I wasn't—" "Enough." The single word cut like a blade. Sarah swallowed hard, hurt carving a line down her expression. She turned away, swimming toward the steps. When she stood up, water streamed down her legs. She grabbed the nearest towel and wrapped it tightly around her body, head high, even though her eyes were shining. She walked past Matteo without looking at him. "Sarah," he said, voice softer now. She stopped, but didn't turn. "We'll talk inside." She let out a bitter, shaky laugh. "No, Matteo, I don't think we will." Then she walked into the house, bare feet dripping onto the stone floor. The door closed behind her. Liam pulled himself out of the pool next, grabbing his shirt, completely ignoring the stares from the remaining staff. He passed Matteo and muttered quietly, "You messed up. Big time." Then he followed the others, leaving Matteo alone on the terrace. The pool that moments ago was full of splashing and laughter was now silent and still. The sunset painted the sky orange, but Matteo felt cold. He had acted before thinking. He had acted out of jealousy, real, raw jealousy. But he couldn't say that out loud. Not to her. Not to anyone. Not when he was supposed to be the man who controlled everything. Instead, he stood staring at the water, replaying the moment like a punishment. The way she laughed with Liam. The way she looked at him when he ended the party. The way she walked away without waiting for an explanation. He dragged a hand over his face, muttering under his breath, "Idiot." Behind him, a security guard approached hesitantly. "Boss, everyone already left. Do you need anything else?" Matteo didn't look at him. No. He just stared at the spot where Sarah had stood, where the towel still hung over the chair, forgotten in her rush to escape. A painful thought formed, one he hated instantly. Did I just lose her? He didn't even know how to admit he wanted her, how to say the truth out loud, how to tell her that seeing her with Liam made something break apart inside him. He only knew one thing for sure. He needed to talk to her. Now. He went inside, his wet footprints echoing across the marble floor, up the stairs, down the hallway lined with soft lights. Sarah's guest room door was closed. He knocked gently. "Sarah," he called. "It's me." Silence. He knocked again, softer but urgent. "Please open the door." Nothing. Then, a sound, a muffled sob. His chest tightened painfully. "Sarah, I'm sorry," he said, still facing the closed door. "I shouldn't have said that out there. I overreacted. He shut his eyes. He almost said the real words. "I just can't stand the idea of losing you." But he swallowed them. Inside the room, Sarah sat on the edge of the bed wrapped in her towel, damp hair sticking to her skin. Her eyes were red. Her phone sat in her lap, the screen glowing with an unsent message. 2 words, "I quit." She stared at it, tears burning again. Being embarrassed in front of everyone hurt, but what hurt even more was understanding something she had ignored for months. She cared about him far more than she should. Her thumb hovered over the send button. Outside, Matteo rested his forehead against the door, exhaling shakily. "Talk to me," he whispered. "Don't shut me out." Her heart squeezed. But she pressed the button anyway. Message sent. Downstairs, Matteo's phone lit up on the console table. He didn't see it yet. He was still standing at her door, still waiting, still thinking he could fix things with a few apologies. Inside the room, Sarah curled under the blanket, tears slipping silently. Tomorrow, everything would change. But he didn't know it yet. He had no idea what message was waiting for him. No idea what he had set in motion. And no idea that losing her was a real possibility for the first time in his life. And nothing terrified Matteo Conti more than that. For a long time, Matteo stood in the hallway outside the guest room, hand on the doorframe, forehead pressed lightly against the wood. He heard nothing. No footsteps, no crying, no answer. "Sarah," he tried again, voice low. "Please, talk to me." Silence. He stayed there longer than he would ever admit. Long enough for the hallway lights to dim on their automatic timer. Long enough for the house to get quiet in that particular way it only did when everyone had gone. Eventually, he straightened, jaw tight. If she wanted space, he would give her a few minutes, just a few. He walked away from the door, down the stairs, rolling his shoulders as if the tension were something he could shake out. Halfway through the living room, his phone buzzed on the console table. He glanced at it out of habit, then stopped dead. On the screen, her name lit up. Sarah Davis. New message. He picked it up, thumb swiping fast across the glass. 2 words stared back at him. "I quit." For a moment, he didn't breathe. The words didn't make sense. They rearranged in his mind, looking for another meaning. "I'm upset. I need space. You were an idiot." Anything. But they didn't change. "I quit." His stomach dropped. He read it again and again. His first instinct was denial. She can't mean this. She sent it in anger. She'll calm down. We'll talk tomorrow. But underneath that, deeper and louder, something else spoke. You humiliated her in front of everyone. You treated her like she was yours, without ever having the courage to ask if she wanted to be. He didn't remember crossing the room. 1 second he was staring at the phone. The next, he was already halfway back up the stairs, taking them 2 at a time. "Sarah," he called, louder now. The hallway felt colder. He reached the guest room door and opened it without knocking this time. The lights were off. The bed was untouched. The towel she had wrapped around herself earlier was gone. So was her bag. He checked the bathroom. Empty. She had already left. He'd been standing outside an empty room, talking to no one. A sharp curse slipped out before he could stop it. He spun on his heel and headed back downstairs, phone still in his hand, heart pounding in a way that had nothing to do with the stairs. One of the security guys stood near the back door doing a final sweep. "Boss, where did she go?" Mateo cut in. "Ms. Davis, did anyone see her leave?" The guard straightened, surprised by his tone. Yes, sir. She asked one of the drivers to take her home. Left through the front about 10 minutes ago. I thought you knew." Mateo closed his eyes for half a second. 10 minutes. He was used to losing opportunities in business when people hesitated. He had never imagined losing Sarah because he hesitated. "Get the car," he said. "Now." The guard didn't ask which one. There was only one answer when his boss spoke like that. 2 minutes later, a black SUV rolled up to the front steps. Mateo slid into the back seat, not bothering with a shirt over his open one, not caring that his hair was still damp or that he was barefoot in slides. He only cared about one thing. Her apartment, he told the driver. "And don't stop for lights unless you want to find another job." The driver didn't argue. As the gates of the mansion opened and the SUV sped down the hill, Mateo's phone buzzed again. "Liam." "Boss, what the hell happened?" "People are texting." She looked destroyed when she left. Another message followed, fast. "You do realize she's not just the secretary, right?" Mateo stared at the screen, jaw clenched. He typed back, "Mateo, I know exactly who she is." Then, after a second, "And I'm gonna fix it." He hit send before he could second-guess himself. Across town, Sarah sat curled on her couch, wearing an oversized t-shirt and shorts, damp hair twisted into a messy bun. Her phone lay face down on the coffee table. Her bag was on the floor where she'd dropped it the second she walked in. The ride from the mansion had felt endless. She'd stared out the window the whole time, arms wrapped around her towel, ignoring the concerned glances from the driver in the mirror. She had sent the text from the back seat, fingers trembling. "I quit." No explanation, no emojis, nothing else to soften the blow. She hadn't waited to see if he replied. She couldn't. The more she thought about the way he'd looked at her by the pool, as if she had done something wrong just by laughing, the more a painful mix of anger and sadness stirred inside her. She had always known there was a line between them. Boss, assistant. She organized his chaos. He trusted her with things he never said out loud. She was the first one to know his schedule and the last one to turn off the office lights. But today had shown her something she'd tried to ignore. He also thought he could control her. Who she talked to, how she dressed, who was allowed near her. Her throat tightened. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it without picking it up, as if looking directly at the message would make it real. A few seconds later, her screen lit up with a name that at least didn't make her chest hurt. "Emma," she swiped to answer. "Tell me you are home and that you did not let that man make you cry in the car," Emma said by way of greeting. Sarah let out a weak laugh. "I am home," she said. "And I waited until I got here to cry. Thank you very much." "Oh, good. Very healthy. I support this timing." Sarah smiled, even as her eyes burned. "He ended the party," she said quietly, "in front of everyone, just because Liam and I were talking." "You told me that part," Emma said. "I wanted to jump through the phone and smack him, and then, Sarah sighed, "I came home and I resigned." Silence. Then Emma's voice sharper now. "You what?" "I texted him," Sarah said, staring at a spot on the ceiling. "I quit, Em. I can't keep working like nothing happened. I can't sit outside his office tomorrow like some extension of his ego while everyone whispers about what he did at the pool. Sarah, I know. Do you? Yes. Emma exhaled loudly. Okay, she said. I'm not saying you're wrong, but be honest. Did you quit because he humiliated you? Or because you're in love with the man and you finally realized he might never see you as more than someone he gets jealous over? Sarah closed her eyes. The word sat heavy in the air. Love. She didn't answer. Emma didn't push. She softened her tone instead. Do you want to see him tomorrow? Emma asked. In that office, pretending nothing happened. The thought alone made Sarah's stomach knot. No, she whispered. Then maybe quitting is not the worst idea, Emma said. At least not forever. You can think, breathe, remember who you are without him. Who am I without him? Sarah asked before she could stop herself. The question slipped out, small and honest. Emma's voice gentled even more. You are Sarah Davis, she said. You existed long before Matteo Conti and his expensive coffee machine, and you will still exist after this story ends. Whether it ends with a new job or with him begging you on his knees. Sarah snorted. He does not beg, Emma hummed. Then maybe it's time someone makes him learn. A car horn sounded faintly through Sarah's apartment window. She frowned. I think my neighbor ordered food again, she murmured, more to herself than to her friend. Go see, Emma said. And don't overthink tonight. We talk again tomorrow, okay? Okay. I love you. Love you too. They hung up. Sarah stood, stretching her sore muscles, and walked to the window, more out of habit than curiosity. A black SUV had parked in front of her building. Her heart stuttered. No, she whispered. No, no way. She stepped back from the window as the driver's door opened. Then the back door. Matteo got out. He wasn't in a suit. His white shirt was half open, showing a glimpse of tanned chest. His hair was messy, like he'd run his hands through it too many times. He wore simple navy swim shorts and slides. He looked completely out of place in her quiet residential street, like someone had cut him out of his world and pasted him into hers. He looked up at the building as if he could feel her eyes on him. Sarah ducked away from the window, heart racing. A second later, someone buzzed up through the intercom. She stared at it as if it had personally offended her. Of course he knows your address, she thought. You deal with his legal mail. You fill out his forms. You order his everything. The intercom buzzed again. She hesitated. If she didn't answer, he would still come up. She knew how these doors worked. He would wait for another resident, follow them in, and knock on every door if he had to. He was that kind of man, the kind who didn't stop until he got what he wanted. The question was, what did he want tonight? Her job back? Or her? She pressed the button. Yes? Her voice came out tighter than she expected. Sarah. His voice carried up, rougher than usual. It's me. As if I don't know your voice, she muttered under her breath. Out loud, she said, How did you get in the front gate? I have eyes everywhere, he said, and I am not leaving until we talk. She closed her eyes. Of course you're not, she whispered. For a moment she considered denying him entry. He was her boss. Ex-boss, she corrected herself. She had every right to set boundaries, but she also knew herself. She knew she wouldn't sleep until she heard what he had to say. With a small, resigned sigh, she pressed the button to open the main door. The lock buzzed. Matteo didn't wait. She could hear his steps faintly on the stairs a few seconds later, fast and determined. She took a deep breath, wiped quickly at her face, and checked her reflection in the hallway mirror. Her eyes were still a little red. Her hair was a mess. Her t-shirt said, Coffee first, then adulting. Great. Perfect outfit for confronting the man who controlled half the city and apparently most of her emotional stability. There was a knock at her door. 3 firm, impatient taps. She walked over, fingers trembling around the handle, and opened it. Matteo filled the doorway. For a second, neither of them spoke. Up close, he looked even more undone than from the street. Damp hair, open shirt, tension all over his shoulders and jaw. His eyes swept over her, taking in the t-shirt, the bare legs, the absence of the professional clothes he was used to seeing on her. His expression shifted, something like relief, worry, and something else she didn't want to name. "Hi," she said, voice small. "Hi," he echoed, equally quiet for a moment. Then his tone changed, firm, but not cold. "We need to talk." She leaned her shoulder against the door frame, using it to keep herself steady. "Pretty sure my resignation text covered the important part," she said, trying to sound calm. "But I'm listening." He looked past her for a moment, into the small but cozy living room behind her. "Can I come in?" he asked. She hesitated. Every instinct shouted that letting him inside would be dangerous. Not physically. She never felt unsafe with him, emotionally. But she stepped aside anyway. "5 minutes," she warned. "That's all you get." He walked in, the space suddenly feeling smaller with his presence. He looked too large, too intense for her little apartment, like he belonged somewhere with marble floors and floor-to-ceiling windows, not next to her thrift store couch. She closed the door and crossed her arms, more for protection than comfort. He turned to face her. "You quit," he said, holding up his phone slightly, as if she might not remember. "Yes," she replied. "Sometimes people do that when they've had enough." His jaw tightened. "You quit over a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" She let out a short, humorless laugh. "You ended an entire staff party, embarrassed me in front of everyone, and treated me like I was doing something wrong just for smiling in a bikini. What part of that did I misunderstand?" "You were with Liam," he said. "In a pool." She shot back. "At a pool party that you organized. You were laughing with him." She stared at him. "That's your problem?" she asked. "That I laughed with someone that wasn't you?" The question hung in the air. He opened his mouth, closed it again. His silence was louder than any answer. Her chest hurt. She shouldn't have asked. She already knew. "Yes," she said quietly, before he could form another excuse. "That's exactly your problem." He took a step closer. "I overreacted," he admitted finally. The words sounded like they cost him something to say. "I know I did. I saw you with him, and I didn't think. I just reacted." "Jealousy is not an excuse to humiliate me," she said. "I am not saying it is." "Then what are you saying, Matteo?" she demanded, voice shaking now. "Because from where I stand, I am just your secretary. I get your coffee, I manage your schedule, I pick up your dry cleaning. I am not your girlfriend. I'm not your wife. I'm not anything that gives you the right to act like that." His eyes flickered at the word anything. "You are not just my secretary," he said. She laughed softly, bitter. "Funny. That's exactly how it felt today." He moved closer again. She stayed where she was, refusing to back up even though her heart was doing cartwheels. "I know I hurt you," he said quietly. "I'm not blind. I saw your face. I hate that I put that expression there. But you walking away, quitting, acting like I'm just some cold boss who doesn't care. You acted like a cold boss," she cut in. "You gave an order. Everyone obeyed. And I was left standing there feeling like a problem you needed to shut down." He flinched at that. "Is that what you think you are to me?" he asked, voice dropping. "A problem?" She looked up at him, eyes glassy but steady. "I don't know what I am to you," she said. "And that's exactly why I left." The honesty in her words hit him harder than any bullet ever could. He had spent months pretending that keeping things unspoken was safer. He thought that as long as they stayed in their roles, boss and assistant, he could manage the pull he felt toward her. He'd been wrong, very wrong. "How long have you been planning to quit?" he asked, almost afraid of the answer. "I wasn't planning it," she said. "I sent the message in your car on the way home, right after watching you end a party because you didn't like seeing me near someone else. So no, Matteo, quitting wasn't a plan. It was self-defense." The phrase hit him like a punch. Self-defense, against him. He took a breath, slow and controlled. "Do you want to leave?" he asked. "Really leave? Start somewhere else? Never see me again?" She opened her mouth and then closed it, thrown off by the way he'd asked. It wasn't cold. It wasn't a challenge. It sounded afraid. She swallowed. "I don't know," she admitted. "I only know I can't go back to the office and pretend none of this happened. I can't pretend I don't feel humiliated. And I can't pretend I don't feel—" She stopped. His eyes sharpened. "You don't feel what?" he asked. She looked away. "Nothing," she said. "It doesn't matter. It matters to me." "Since when?" she shot back. He didn't hesitate. "Since the day you walked into my office with that awful temporary badge that had your name misspelled and told me my old assistant was stealing from me," he replied. "Since you stayed until 2 in the morning fixing the mess. Since you started leaving sticky notes on my desk that said, 'Eat,' when you noticed I skipped lunch 3 days in a row. Since you yelled at a supplier on the phone for disrespecting my time. Since you started coming into my head every night when I tried to sleep." Her breath caught. The room felt very small now. They stood only a step apart, the city noise a distant hum behind the closed window. "Matteo," she whispered. He took that last step, erasing the space between them. He didn't touch her yet. His hands stayed at his sides, fists clenched like he was holding himself back. "I don't want you to quit," he said. "Not because I can't run my day without you, even though I can't. Not because it will be inconvenient, even though it will. I don't want you to quit because the idea of you walking out of my life and never looking back makes me feel like I can't breathe." Her heart hammered so loudly she was sure he could hear it. "You can't say things like that," she whispered. "You're my boss." He shook his head slowly. "Right now," he said, voice quiet but intense, "I'm not talking to you as your boss." Her pulse jumped. He lifted one hand, finally, and brushed his fingers lightly over her wrist, barely a touch, like he was asking permission. Heat shot up her arm. "I'm talking to you as a man," he continued, "a man who handled things very badly today. A man who has been stupidly trying to deny the way he feels about the woman who keeps his life from falling apart." Tears blurred her vision again, but they weren't just from hurt this time. They were from hope. Dangerous, reckless hope. She dragged in a shaky breath and looked directly into his eyes. "And what exactly do you feel, Matteo?" she asked. "Jealousy? Possessiveness? Guilt because you think you scared me off?" His jaw flexed. "All of that," he admitted. "And more." Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. "More?" He nodded slowly. "But I'm not going to say that word while you're standing here believing you're just the secretary I embarrassed at a pool party," he said. "You deserve to hear it when you're ready to believe it." Her eyes searched his, trying to decide if she could trust any of this. Her brain listed every reason to be careful. He was her boss. He had power. He was used to getting what he wanted. Her heart whispered something else. He had come to her building in swim shorts and slides. He had stood on her cheap rug looking completely out of place and not caring. He had said, "I can't breathe," like a confession, not a line. She pulled her wrist back gently, breaking the fragile contact. His hand fell to his side again. "So what now?" she asked, voice soft but steady. "You show up at my door, you say all this, and tomorrow we go back to the office like nothing happened. I sit outside your glass walls and pretend I didn't hear that you can't breathe without me." "No," he said immediately. The word came out stronger than he intended. "No," he repeated, calmer. "We don't go back to how it was. We can't. You're right. I crossed a line today. But not the way you think. The line was crossed the moment I started seeing you as anything more than my assistant. Today just made it obvious." Her throat tightened again. "What are you asking me for, Matteo?" she whispered. He looked at her for a long moment, like he was choosing each word with care. "I'm asking," he said slowly, "for one chance to fix what I broke today. One chance to show you that I can treat you as more than an employee, and more than some possession I bark orders at when I'm jealous. I'm asking you not to disappear from my life overnight without letting me try." Her eyes shone. "And if I say no?" she asked. His voice softened. "Then I drive back home," he said. "I tell HR you quit. I find a way to function without you. And I spend the rest of my life wondering if I lost the only good thing I didn't buy." The simplicity of it made something in her chest crack open. He wasn't threatening her. He wasn't manipulating her. He was just honest. She hated how much that mattered. Silence settled between them again, heavy but not empty this time. Finally, she took a small step back, putting a little space between them so she could think. "Okay," she said quietly. "Here's what I know tonight. I am hurt. I am tired. And I do not trust that you know what you want from me." He listened, jaw tight, but eyes focused only on her. "But," she added, surprising even herself, "I also know that when you said you couldn't breathe at the idea of me leaving, I believed you." His shoulders dropped a fraction, like some of the tension loosened. She pointed a finger at his chest. "So here's what I'm willing to offer," she said. "I'm not taking back the resignation tonight. Tomorrow I'm not going to the office. I need time. You said you want a chance to fix it? Prove it. Not with money. Not with some promotion you can throw at me. Prove it by the way you act." He nodded once, serious. "I can do that," he said. "I'm not promising anything," she warned. "You might still end up without a secretary." He looked at her like that was the least important part of the sentence. "You're allowed to decide that," he said, "but I'm not giving up just because you sent one message." She swallowed. He moved toward the door, giving her back some air. With his hand on the handle, he paused and glanced over his shoulder. "One more thing," he added. She blinked. "What?" "When I said I don't want you to quit," he said slowly, "I wasn't just talking about the job." Her pulse jumped. He opened the door. "I'll call you tomorrow," he said, "not as your boss." And then he stepped out into the hall. "Mateo!" she called suddenly before she could stop herself. He turned back, one eyebrow lifting. She held his gaze, heart pounding loud enough to drown out the hum of the building. "When you say you'll call me tomorrow," she asked, voice barely above a whisper, "are you really planning to fix this as my boss?" He stared at her. Then, very slowly, a small, tired, real smile tugged at his mouth. "No," he said. "If all I wanted was my secretary back, I would have sent flowers and a bonus." Her lips parted. "Then how?" His eyes darkened, but his voice stayed soft. "As a man who wants a chance with the woman he almost pushed away," he said. The words hung in the air between them, warm and terrifying. She exhaled, feeling the ground tilt a little under her feet. For a second, neither of them moved. Then she nodded once. "Then we'll see," she said quietly. "Tomorrow." He held her gaze for one more beat, and then he nodded back and walked away, his footsteps fading down the stairs. Sarah closed the door slowly. She leaned her back against it, heart racing, mind spinning, the echo of his last words circling in her head. A man who wants a chance with the woman he almost pushed away. She slid down until she was sitting on the floor, knees pulled to her chest. Emma was going to scream when she heard about this. But for the first time that night, Sarah wasn't only thinking about the humiliation by the pool. She was thinking about the way he looked in her small hallway, damp hair and open shirt, saying he couldn't breathe without her. And for the first time, quitting didn't feel like the only option. It felt like a question, one that tomorrow would start to answer. Sarah didn't sleep, not even for a minute. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, Mateo's words replaying on an endless loop. "I'm not speaking as your boss. I can't breathe at the thought of losing you. A man who wants a chance with the woman he almost pushed away." Every time she closed her eyes, she saw him standing in her doorway. Damp hair, open shirt, shoulders tense with guilt and longing he could no longer deny. By 6 a.m, she gave up trying. She made coffee, stared at the mug, didn't drink it. Paced the apartment, picked up her phone, put it down again. Her brain was chaos. Her heart, worse, For 2 years, she had convinced herself that a man like Matteo Conti didn't see her that way, that he valued her work, her efficiency, her loyalty, but not her. Not as a woman with feelings and fears and desires she buried so deep it almost hurt. But last night shattered every rule she built to protect herself. She lifted her phone. No message from him. Not yet. For someone whose entire life revolved around controlling everything, he hadn't tried to control her today. That alone made her chest ache a little. She put the phone down again and stared at it like it might explode. 5 seconds later, it buzzed. She jumped. Her heart flew to her throat. One message. Matteo, good morning. 9 a.m. Breakfast. Neutral ground. Public place. You choose. She blinked. Neutral ground. Public place. You choose. It was the opposite of what he always did. He was the man who decided the place, the time, the table, even the brand of water. But now, he was giving all of that control to her. Her fingers hovered over the screen. She typed, Sarah. 9 is fine. Benson Cafe on 14th. It's quiet. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Matteo. I'll be there. The Benson Cafe looked nothing like his world. It was warm, small, cozy. Wooden tables mismatched on purpose. People working on laptops. A chalkboard menu spelled with messy handwriting. It was Sarah's place. Her escape from him. Her safe zone. He arrived 2 minutes late. And for Matteo Conti, being late was equivalent to Dizer. I'm not myself today. He scanned the room once. Found her instantly. She was at a small table near the window, hair in a loose ponytail, wearing jeans and a soft sweater. Nothing fancy, nothing dramatic. But he stopped walking for half a second. She wasn't trying to impress him. And somehow, that made his chest tighten more. Hi, she said when he reached the table. He pulled out the chair and sat, not like a mafia boss taking a position of power, but like a man trying not to scare a deer. Hi, he replied softly. Silence. Not uncomfortable, but careful. A waitress approached. Coffee? She asked. Sarah nodded. Matteo opened his mouth to order his usual double espresso, no sugar, extra hot, but he stopped. What do you recommend? He asked instead. The waitress blinked. Sarah's eyebrows shot up slightly. Matteo never asked anyone for recommendations. The waitress smiled. The vanilla cinnamon latte is good. I'll take that. Sarah choked on her own breath, trying not to laugh. As soon as the waitress left, she stared at him. You don't drink vanilla lattes. I do now, he said. Why? He leaned forward slightly. Because I'm trying not to be the man who ruins pool parties and humiliates women he cares about. Her cheeks warmed. You don't have to change your coffee order to apologize. No, he said, but I'd change a lot more than that if it meant you wouldn't walk away. Silence stretched again, softer this time. Her throat tightened. Matteo, I owe you the truth, he said. All of it. No excuses, no tactics, just the truth. She braced herself. He took a breath. When I saw you with Liam yesterday, something inside me went blind. Not angry, afraid. She blinked. Afraid? Yes, he said quietly. Afraid that I'd waited too long. Afraid he'd see what I see in you. Afraid you'd smile at him the way you smile at me. She looked down into her coffee. I smile at everyone. No, he said, not like you smile at me. Heat spread through her chest. He continued. I ended the party because I had no idea how to handle the feeling. I've handled business wars, threats, negotiations, but the fear of losing you, that I wasn't prepared for. She bit her lip. And what exactly do you think you're losing, Matteo? Your assistant? No, he said instantly. You. Her breath caught. He leaned closer. I'm not asking you to forgive me today, or come back to work, or make any decision you're not ready for. I just need you to know I don't want the job back. His voice softened. I want you back. A flush crept up her neck. Matteo, you can't just say things like that because you feel guilty. This isn't guilt. he said. If it were, it would have disappeared after I slept. You slept? She asked, eyebrows lifting. He held her gaze. No, he admitted. Not even a minute. Her heart flipped. She looked away, inhaling slowly. He rested his hands flat on the table. I'm not asking for everything at once, he said. Just a chance. She stayed quiet. The waitress returned, placing the drinks on the table. When she left, Matteo eyed the latte like it was a foreign artifact. He lifted it carefully, took a sip, and winced. Her first laugh of the day slipped out, soft and warm. I knew it, she said. He smiled, not the controlled corporate one, but a real, tired, honest one. I'm trying, he said. I see that. His expression softened even more. Tell me what you're thinking. She hesitated. Then, I'm thinking that what happened yesterday hurt more than I expected, she said quietly. And it hurt because I care. Too much. His entire body stilled. Her voice trembled. And that scares me, Matteo. Because if I give you a chance and you change your mind, I don't know how I recover from that. His jaw tightened. I won't change my mind. You don't know that. Yes, he said, leaning closer. I do. The intensity of his gaze made her stomach flip. I need consistency, she whispered. Not grand gestures, not apologies after jealousy. I need safety, Matteo. Emotional safety. Do you understand that? He nodded slowly. I understand it better today than I did yesterday. She swallowed hard. Okay, she said. Then here's what I'm willing to do. His shoulders tensed slightly, hope and fear battling. I'm not coming back to the office yet, she said. I need distance to think with my heart and my head. He nodded, accepting. But, she continued, I'm giving you a chance. One chance. Not as my boss. As a man trying to show me who he really is. His breath left him in a slow exhale. Sarah, I'm not ready for anything intense, she warned. I'm not ready to define us. I'm not ready for labels, but I'm ready to see what this is. He nodded again, more slowly. Then I'll follow your pace, he said. Even if it kills me. She smiled softly. It won't kill you. Not physically, he muttered. She rolled her eyes, and for the first time since the pool party, he saw a glimpse of the Sarah he adored. He sat back, shoulders finally relaxing. When can I see you again? He asked. She shrugged. I don't know yet. You're going to torture me, aren't you? A little. He chuckled under his breath. Fair. They walked out together, sunlight warming the sidewalk. Sarah wrapped her arms around herself, not from cold, but because everything felt different now. Light, unsafe, electric. Matteo held the cafe door for her, something he never did at work because he was always 10 steps ahead, mind on business, phone in hand. As she stepped outside, he spoke softly. Sarah, wait. She turned. He hesitated, and she saw it, the rare vulnerability under the surface of the man who usually controlled rooms with a look. I know you need time, he said. I'm not asking you to decide anything today. She nodded. But I need to ask you something before you go. Her pulse quickened. What is it? He stepped closer, not invading, but near enough that she could feel the warmth from his body. If I try, he said quietly, really try, to be the man you deserve, is there a chance you'll let yourself fall for me? Her breath hitched. She didn't plan her answer. Didn't overthink it. Didn't hide. Yes, she whispered. His eyes darkened. Relief, want, emotion all tangled. He stared at her like she just handed him something priceless. Good, he said softly. That's all I needed. Her heart stuttered. She turned to leave before she said something reckless. She took 3 steps. Sarah, he called softly. She turned again. He didn't touch her. He just said the words that would stay in her mind long after she left. Don't disappear on me. Her voice was barely audible. Don't give me a reason to. She walked away before he could see the smile tugging at her mouth. He watched her go. Didn't hide that he watched. Didn't pretend not to care. And for the first time in years, Matteo Conti let someone leave without knowing how the story would end, but trusting she would come back. When Matteo slid into the SUV, Liam was already calling. He answered. "Boss," Liam said, "please tell me you didn't ruin this again." Matteo leaned back, looked out the car window and exhaled. "No," he said, voice low but steady. "Not this time." "What happened?" Matteo's eyes softened in a way Liam had never heard in his voice. "She's giving me a chance." Liam whistled. "And how are you feeling about that?" Matteo stared at the street, at the direction Sarah walked. "Terrified," he admitted. Liam laughed. Matteo didn't, because he wasn't joking. This wasn't business. This wasn't control. This wasn't strategy. This was the first time he had something to lose that money, power, and reputation couldn't protect. And he wasn't planning to lose her. Not now. Not ever. Sarah did not go to the office on Monday. The world did not end. No one died. No building exploded, but her phone did not stop lighting up. First, there was an email from HR asking if her resignation was formal or sent in an emotional context. Then a message from a coworker. "Are you okay? The pool thing was wild." Then another from someone from accounting. "Please don't quit. He's useless without you." She ignored them all. Only one name on the screen made her chest tighten. Matteo. He didn't bombard her. No calls at 7 a.m. No "where are you?" No calendar invites. Just one text at 8 a.m. "I told the office you're taking some time off. No one will bother you. If they do, tell me." She read it twice. It wasn't a command. It was protection. Why does that make it worse and better at the same time? She thought. A second message came a minute later. "I hope you ate breakfast." She almost smiled. Almost. She typed back after staring at the screen for a long time. "I did. Don't worry about me." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, "That's the problem, Sarah." "I do." She locked the phone and dropped it on the couch. Her heart was not ready for this level of honesty at 8 in the morning. By Tuesday, the messages had become a quiet routine. Matteo. "Good morning. Did you sleep?" Later. "If you need anything, you call me. I mean anything." She never answered right away. Sometimes she didn't answer at all. But she read every single word. Emma sat opposite her at the small kitchen table, spoon in a cereal bowl, eyebrows raised. "You know he is suffering, right?" Emma said, nodding at the phone. "That's not my responsibility," Sarah muttered, even though her stomach did a small flip. Emma shrugged. "No, but it might be fun to watch." Sarah gave her a look. Emma softened. "Okay, listen," she said. "Serious now. I like that he's not demanding you go back. He's not sending you gifts or cars or contracts. He's sending sentences." "Very poetic," Sarah said, rolling her eyes. "He's learning feelings," Emma said, deadpan. "Let the man struggle. But also, don't disappear completely if you still care." Sarah didn't answer. She didn't need to. Emma knew. On Wednesday afternoon, the tone shifted. She was folding laundry when a picture came in. It was his office, or what used to be his office. Now it looked like a paper hurricane had hit it. Documents spread across the desk, a laptop open with 6 tabs visible. Coffee cups in 3 different spots. A tie draped over the back of his chair like it had lost the will to live. Under the photo, his message. "This is what my life looks like without you. I hope you're happy." She stared at it. A laugh escaped before she could stop it. Her fingers moved on their own. "Have you heard of folders, or trash cans, or basic motor coordination?" He replied immediately. "You're laughing. That's progress." She hesitated, then sent, "You're impossible. Maybe. But I'm still trying." She chewed her bottom lip, looking at the messy office again. Without her, it really did look wrong, empty in the places she used to fill. Her phone buzzed again. "Are you busy tonight?" Her heart jumped. She typed slowly. "Why?" "Dinner. Nothing dramatic. No mansions. No pool. No employees. just a restaurant, and me trying very hard not to say something stupid. Her first instinct was to say no. She needed time, space, safety. But she also remembered the look on his face in her hallway, the way his voice had shaken, the way he had said, "As a man who wants a chance." She exhaled. "I picked the place," she wrote. "Of course," he replied. "Text me the address. I'll be there." Sarah chose a small Italian place in a quiet neighborhood. Red brick walls, tiny lamps on the tables, smell of garlic and fresh bread in the air. The kind of restaurant where nobody cared who Matteo Conti was, as long as he paid the bill and didn't yell. He arrived on time, not early to impress, not late to prove anything. On time. When he walked in, he looked different than at the cafe. No suit tonight. Dark jeans, black button-down shirt, sleeves rolled to the forearms, watch on his wrist, hair a little messy, like he'd been running his hands through it all day. Her heart reacted before her brain could. He saw her, and his face changed. Any worry that he might treat this like a casual, "Let's talk about your future at the company," dinner vanished. He looked relieved just to see her. "Hi," she said. "Hi," he answered, softer than he probably spoke to anyone else. The waiter approached. "Sparkling water?" Matteo asked her. She nodded. "And wine?" he added. "Not yet," she said. "Let's see how the conversation goes." The corner of his mouth lifted. "Fair." They ordered. He didn't rush. He didn't check his phone once. The silence at the start was careful again, but not heavy. Finally, he spoke. "How was your day?" She blinked. "Normal," she answered. "Laundry, groceries, emails from HR." He grimaced. "I told them to leave you alone." "They're doing their job," she said. "You're the one who hired them. You're the one who trained them to be terrifying with rules." He shot back lightly. Her lips twitched. She inhaled slowly. "And your day?" she asked. He shrugged. "Less productive than usual." "Because the office is a mess?" she teased. "Because my head is a mess," he corrected. "But yes, the office too." She held his gaze, curious. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "A lot of things I've never said out loud," he admitted. She swallowed. "Start with one." He rested his forearms on the table. "I used to think I could separate everything," he said. "Work in one box, personal life in another, feelings in a third, locked somewhere so deep even I couldn't find it. You were supposed to stay in the first box." She frowned slightly. "Thanks, I guess," she said dryly. He shook his head. "That's the problem," he said. "You never stayed there. The more I tried to keep you as assistant, the more you leaked into everything else." "Leaked?" she repeated, incredulous. He grimaced. "Wrong word." "Very wrong." He exhaled through his nose. "You know what I mean," he said. "I'd be in meetings thinking what you would say about the way they structured their contracts. I'd taste coffee somewhere and think you'd complain about how weak it is. I'd come home at night, look at my phone, and realize the only notification I was waiting for was yours." Heat crept into her cheeks. "You never said anything," she murmured. "I'm very good at pretending I don't feel things," he said. "At least I thought I was." The food arrived, giving her a moment to process. He waited until the waiter left, then continued. "When I saw you with Liam in that pool," he said quietly, "all those feelings I'd been pushing down stood up at once. Jealousy, fear, want. It wasn't just about him." She set her fork down. "What was it about then?" she asked. "It was about realizing," he said, "that I had pushed you into a corner of my life that was safe for me, but exhausting for you, and that someone else could walk in, make you laugh for 5 minutes, and give you what I was too coward to offer." Her throat tightened. "You think I quit because of Liam?" she asked. "I quit because of you." "I know," he said, voice low. "And I'm trying to earn the right to ask you to reconsider." She stayed quiet for a long moment. Then, "What are you really offering me, Matteo?" she asked. "Be honest. Is this about wanting me back behind your desk, or wanting me next to you when you're not sitting behind it?" "Both," he said without hesitation, "but not at any cost." If staying in that office hurts you, I don't want you there." She blinked. "So what?" she asked, half teasing, half serious. "You'll give me a job in another building just so you can say you don't date your assistant?" "If that's what it takes," he said. "I'll open an entirely new company and make you CEO if it keeps you near me on your terms." Her eyes widened. "That's not funny," she said. "I'm not joking," he replied. The way he said it sent a small shock through her. She picked up her fork again, more to have something to hold than because she was hungry. "What if this doesn't work?" she asked quietly. "Us, whatever this is. What if we try and it falls apart? I lose my job and my whatever you are." He looked at her, steady. "Then I make sure you land on your feet," he said, "with or without me. I won't be the man who traps you. If anything, I want to be the one who makes you feel like you have more choices, not fewer." Her chest ached. "That sounds nice," she whispered. "It's the bare minimum," he said. "You asked me for emotional safety. I've been thinking about what that means. I can't promise to be perfect. I can't promise I'll never get jealous again. But I can promise I'll never embarrass you on purpose, never punish you for living your life, and never use what I feel for you as an excuse to control you." Her eyes burned. "That's a good start," she said, voice unsteady. He watched her for a second, then smiled gently. "Eat," he said, "before you cry into your pasta." She let out a watery laugh. "I hate that you know me," she said. "No, you don't." "No, I don't," she admitted. After dinner, they walked outside together. It was cooler now. City lights glowed, cars passed, people walked dogs, checked phones, lived ordinary lives. Matteo slipped his hands into his pockets, resisting the urge to reach for her. "So," he said lightly, "on a scale from 1 to 10, how badly did I do?" "As a dinner companion?" she asked. "Yes." She pretended to think. 7, she said. "Only a 7?" he protested. "You ordered sparkling water without me reminding you," she said. "That gave you a lot of points." "And what took them away?" "You trying to make leaked into my life sound romantic," she deadpanned. He groaned. "I'll never live that down, will I?" "Not if I can help it." He laughed, shaking his head. They reached her building. He stopped on the sidewalk, looking up at the door, then back at her. "This is where I'm supposed to say goodnight like a decent human being," he said. "Yes," she replied. "Let's see if you manage." He took a breath. "Good night, Sarah." She smiled. "Good night, Matteo." He hesitated. "Can I ask for one more thing?" he asked. She raised an eyebrow. "You're pushing it." "I know," he said. "But I'll ask anyway." She crossed her arms. "Go on." He stepped a little closer. "Next time," he said, "let me pick you up from your place so you don't have to walk alone. Just as someone who cares if you get home safe." The way he framed it made her chest warm. "Next time," she repeated. He met her eyes. "I'm planning on there being a next time." She tried not to smile. "Then we'll see," she said softly. "Good night." She turned and walked inside. He stayed on the sidewalk until the door closed behind her. Only then did he leave. The office felt wrong. By Thursday, the buzz about the pool party had faded into whispers, but the empty chair outside Matteo's glass door never stopped drawing attention. He noticed every time someone looked at it. He also noticed that he kept waiting to hear her heels on the floor. He didn't. Liam stepped into his office without knocking, tie loosened, file in hand. "We need to sign off on the warehouse security upgrade," Liam said. "They're waiting on your—" He stopped. "Wow," he added, taking in the state of the room. "So it's true. She really quit. Your desk looks like my brain on a Monday." Matteo didn't look up. "She hasn't decided anything yet," he said. "She's taking time." "And you're giving it to her," Liam said, nodding slowly. "That's new." Matteo shot him a look. "Be careful." "I'm being respectful," Liam said. "You always did things your way. This is the first time I see you adjusting your way for someone." Matteo leaned back. "I'm not adjusting for just anyone," he said. Liam's expression softened, irony gone. "I know," he said. "And for the record, ending that party was the dumbest thing I've seen you do." But going after her, that's the smartest. Don't get used to agreeing with me, Matteo replied. Liam smirked and dropped the file on the desk. I liked her, he said on his way out. Not just because she made your schedule human. She made you human. When he left, the room felt quiet again. Matteo glanced at his phone. No new messages. He opened their conversation anyway. Then, for the first time that day, he texted her first. Thank you for last night. He stared at the words, then added, I'm trying not to push. But if you want to see my attempt at cooking something that isn't eggs and coffee, I can offer dinner at my place. No staff. No party. No pool. He hovered over send for a second, then tapped the screen. Sarah read the message while standing in line at the grocery store holding a box of cereal and a bag of coffee. Dinner at his place. The last time she was in his house, she left in tears with chlorine in her hair. She should say no. She should make him wait longer. She should... No staff, no party, no pool. She smiled despite herself. The woman at the register asked, paper or plastic? And Sarah almost answered Matteo because her brain was somewhere else. Paper, she said quickly. On the way home, she typed, You can cook? His reply came fast. Not well. That's the point. You'll get to laugh at me. It's a fair punishment. She bit back a laugh. Okay, she typed before she could change her mind. But if you burn the pasta, I'm ordering pizza. Deal, he wrote. Tonight, I'll send a car. Or do you want to drive? I'll drive. If I change my mind, I want my escape route. Fair. I'll send you the gate code anyway, just in case you decide to escape and come back. She shook her head, putting the phone down. Emma is going to pass out when she hears this, she murmured. By the time she parked in his driveway, the sun was dipping behind the hill, painting the sky in warm colors. The mansion looked different without music and people. Quieter, less intimidating. She pressed the code he had sent. The gate opened, and she walked toward the front door with her heart pounding harder than any time she had presented numbers to him in a boardroom. He opened the door before she knocked. Hi, he said. She took him in. No suit, black t-shirt, jeans, bare feet. Her brain short-circuited for a second. You own shoes, right? She asked because her mouth worked faster than her filter. He glanced down. I like being comfortable in my own house, he said. Don't tell anyone, it'll ruin my reputation. She smiled before she could stop it. He stepped aside. Come in. The house smelled like something. Is that garlic? She asked, surprised. And panic, he said. I watched 3 videos on how to boil pasta. I'm still not sure I did it right. She laughed, tension melting piece by piece. Show me the damage. He led her to the kitchen. There were open jars, chopped tomatoes, a basil plant that looked personally offended, and a large pot on the stove. He lifted the lid carefully. The pasta inside looked fine, not perfect, not drowned, not raw. Not bad, she said. Say that again, he replied. I want to record it. They moved around the kitchen together, and something about it felt almost normal. Not Mafia boss and assistant. Just a man and a woman cooking dinner. She stirred the sauce while he grated cheese. Careful, she said. You're going to grate your fingers. I've survived worse. I don't need to know what worse means in your world. He glanced at her. You won't, he said. Not if it scares you. She held his gaze. I'm not a porcelain doll, Matteo. I know what you do. I know who you are. I know you know, he said quietly. That's what makes this harder. She set the spoon down. Why? Because I want you to have a life that isn't always in the shadow of mine, he said. And I don't know if that's possible. She leaned against the counter, watching him. What if it's not just about shadows? She asked. What if it's also about how you treat the person standing next to you? His eyes softened. Then I'll spend every day showing you that next to me is the safest place you can be. Her chest tightened. That's a big promise. I'm a big man, he said. She snorted. That came out wrong. I know. They both laughed. Dinner was simple. Pasta, salad, bread, But to Sarah, it felt more special than any formal dinner she had ever been to with him. No staff hovering, no phones on the table, no one asking for signatures. Just them. At one point she took a bite of pasta and looked at him, genuinely surprised. "This is really good," she said. He looked almost offended. "Did you expect me to poison you?" he asked. "I expected you to burn the kitchen," she replied. "I had the fire department on speed dial." "I'm insulted," he muttered. "Deeply." She smiled. They fell into easier conversation. He asked about her family. She told him about her mother, who lived in another state, about her father, who left when she was young, about a brother she rarely saw. He listened. Really listened. When he spoke about his own life, he didn't give the usual polished version people expected in public. He told her about growing up in a house where business was discussed at the table instead of feelings, about learning to be useful before he learned to be kind, about never bringing women home because the mansion wasn't a place for temporary. Her fork paused halfway to her mouth. "You've never brought anyone here?" she asked. "Staff, yes," he said. "Business, yes. Dates? No." "And me?" He held her eyes. "You're not a date," he said. "You're more complicated." The honesty took her breath. "Complicated how?" "You know everything about my day," he said. "You see me when I'm furious, when I'm tired, when I'm quiet. You know how many coffees I drink, how many hours I sleep, and which meetings I secretly hate." "And you?" she asked. "What do you know about me?" He didn't hesitate. "You pretend to be calm when you're nervous, but your thumb taps your pen faster. You wear your hair up on days you want to hide, and down on days you feel stronger. You hate when people call you sweetheart or honey in meetings. You refuse to let anyone talk down to the cleaning staff. You always double-check contracts because you never fully trust anybody to protect my interests as much as you do." Her throat closed. "How long have you been paying attention?" she whispered. "Since the first day," he said simply. The room felt warm and small and intense. He reached for his glass, then changed his mind and reached for the bowl of salad instead, as if he needed something to do with his hands. After they finished eating, she stood to help clear the table. "You're a guest," he protested. "I'm not made of glass," she said. "I know how to carry a plate." They ended up side by side at the sink, washing and drying dishes like they had done it 100 times. It felt dangerously natural. At one point, her hand brushed his when she reached for a glass. They both froze. He looked down at her fingers resting on his for a split second. Then he looked up. Her breath caught. "Sorry," she whispered. "I'm not," he said. She swallowed. "I'm trying very hard not to rush this," he added. "Me too." "I'm failing," he muttered. She laughed weakly. "Me too." He took the towel from her, set it down, and stepped back. "Come on," he said. "There's something I want to show you." He led her up the stairs to the second floor. She had been up there only once, when a courier had delivered documents late, and Matteo asked her to bring them to him in his home office. She had never explored. He stopped in front of a door at the end of the hall. "I didn't know you had rooms you didn't use," she said. "I don't," he replied. "Until now." He opened the door. The room was simple, not as big as the master bedroom. A large window, a bed, a small desk, a comfortable armchair, soft colors. It looked peaceful. She stepped inside. "What is this?" she asked. He leaned against the door frame. "Your room," he said. Her head jerked around. "Excuse me?" "Don't look at me like that," he said, hands up. "I didn't put your name on the door or anything. But after the third time you worked here until midnight and I insisted you take a car and a driver, I realized I'd be less worried if I could just tell you to stay." She stared at him. "You planned this when?" "A while ago," he admitted. "The bed arrived 3 months back. I just never had the courage to tell you it was ready." "Why?" she asked, heart pounding. "Because I didn't want you to think I was trying to trap you here," he said, "or that I expected anything from you if you stayed." She looked around again. There were small details he never would have thought of alone. A soft throw blanket, a lamp with warm light, a stack of books on the nightstand, not just business, fiction, romance, a travel guide she once mentioned liking. Her chest ached. "You did this?" she asked softly. He scratched the back of his neck, suddenly awkward. "I asked someone to help with the details," he said, "but the idea was mine. I just wanted you to know that if you ever feel too tired to go home, there's a place here that's yours. No strings, no questions." She swallowed. "Mateo," she whispered. "I didn't show you this last week," he said, voice low, "because I knew it would sound manipulative after what I did at the pool, but I don't want you to think I only started caring after that mess. I've been caring for a long time." Silence settled in the room, heavy and full. She moved toward the window, needing a second to breathe. "This is a lot," she said. "I know. You do realize that telling a woman you prepared a room in your house just in case she needed it is something most people would run away from, right? Are you running?" he asked quietly. She looked over her shoulder. "No," she said. "That's the scary part." He exhaled slowly. They just looked at each other for a moment. Something shifted then, from words and explanations to something quieter. He stepped closer, but not too close. "If this is too much, tell me," he said. "I'll close the door and pretend it doesn't exist until you want it to." She turned fully to face him. "Everything about this is too much," she said. "You, your world, this room, the way you look at me, the way I feel when I'm near you." His jaw clenched. "And yet?" he asked. "And yet," she continued, "I'm still here." His eyes darkened. He closed the distance between them slowly, giving her time to move away if she wanted to. She didn't. He lifted a hand, resting his fingers under her chin, tilting her face up gently. Her pulse raced. "If I kiss you," he said, voice barely above a whisper, "are you going to quit again?" A small, breathless laugh left her. "Depends on how good it is," she said, trying to lighten the moment. His mouth curved. "I'll take that risk." He leaned in. The first touch of his mouth on hers was careful. Not demanding, not hungry, testing, asking. Her hands moved on their own, gripping the front of his t-shirt to steady herself. He deepened the kiss slowly, giving her room to pull back. She didn't. The warmth of his lips, the scent of his cologne, the way he exhaled softly against her made everything else fall away. There were no staff watching, no deals waiting, no parties, no pool, just him, just her. His thumb traced her jaw, slow and reverent, as if he was trying to memorize the shape of her face. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing a little faster. He didn't let go of her. His forehead rested lightly against hers. "Sarah," he murmured, "tell me to slow down if you need me to." She swallowed. Her hands were still on his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart under her palms. "I don't want you to slow down," she said honestly. "I just want you to be real." "I am," he said, for the first time in a long time. She looked up at him. Her next words came from somewhere deep and fragile. "Can you really do this?" she asked quietly. "Can you really love someone while still being who you are? While still being the man everyone fears? Can you love me without pulling me into everything that comes with your name?" The question hung in the room. He didn't answer right away. For once, Matteo Conti didn't have a ready response. He just held her closer, feeling the weight of what she was asking. Not a promise for tonight, a promise for everything after. She watched his eyes, waiting, wanting to believe, afraid to. And in that pause, on the edge between his world and hers, between fear and hope, between what he had been and what he could become, the night stayed open around them, waiting for his answer. He did not answer right away. Her question sat between them, heavy and real. "Can you really love someone while still being who you are? Can you love me without pulling me into everything that comes with your name?" Matteo held her, forehead against hers, feeling her breath on his lips. knowing this was one of those moments that split a life into before and after. He could lie. He could promise the kind of life he knew he could never give, or he could give her the one thing no one else ever got from him. The truth. "I can't promise you a normal life," he said quietly. "I will never be that man. My name will never be simple. There will always be people who whisper when they hear it. There will always be things I can't tell you in detail." Her fingers tightened slightly in his shirt. "But I can promise you this," he went on. "I will never ask you to be part of anything ugly. I will never put you in harm's way on purpose. I will spend every day making sure the parts of my life that touch you are calm, not chaotic." Her eyes searched his. "Calm?" she asked, voice soft. "With you?" He gave a faint, tired smile. "As calm as I know how to be," he said. "I can't erase who I am, Sarah, but I can decide who I am with you." She swallowed. "And who is that?" she whispered. He brushed his thumb along her cheek, slow and gentle. "The man who wants to come home and tell you about his day, not hide it," he said. "The man who wants to fall asleep next to you knowing you're safe. The man who doesn't end pool parties because he's jealous, but instead walks down, takes your hand, and makes it very clear you're with him." Her lips twitched. "That would have been a better move," she murmured. "I know," he said. "I'm learning." She held his gaze for a long, quiet moment. Then she nodded once. "I don't need you to be perfect," she said. "I just need you to keep choosing me, even when your world gets loud." His chest tightened. "I can do that," he said. "I'm already doing it." He dipped his head again, kissing her gently. This time, there was less hesitation. Her hands slid up his chest to his shoulders, feeling the strength there, the tension, the way he held himself like he was always ready for a fight. Tonight, he was only fighting one thing, the urge to rush. He broke the kiss first, breath a little uneven. "If we stay in this room," he said quietly, "I'm going to forget all the rules I promised I'd follow." She blinked up at him, cheeks flushed, lips parted. "What rules?" she asked. He gave a small, self-conscious huff. "The ones about taking this slowly," he said. "About giving you time to trust me. About not dragging you into something you're not ready for just because I want you close." A shiver went through her at the honesty in his tone. "You're not dragging me anywhere," she said. "I walked in here myself. Sarah." He said her name like a warning and a prayer at the same time. She took a step back, giving both of them space to breathe. "Then let's go downstairs," she said, voice soft but steady. "If we stay here, I'm not sure I'll remember my own rules either." He let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding and nodded. "Okay," he said. He didn't take her hand. He wanted to, but he let her lead the way instead, following her out of the room, leaving the soft light and the unspoken promise behind for another night. Back in the living room, they ended up on the couch without really planning it. He sat at one end, she sat at the other, leaving a polite distance that was completely at odds with the way their bodies had just been pressed together upstairs. "So," she said, pulling her legs up under her, "do you ever sit on this couch, or is it just here for decoration?" He relaxed, grateful for the change of tone. "Sometimes I sit here to sign contracts when my office annoys me," he said. "But I usually end up sleeping in that chair over there." She followed his gaze to a large armchair near the window. "You sleep in a chair?" she asked. "You own a bed the size of a small country." "Sometimes I fall asleep reading," he said. She smirked. "Do the books know you're lying, or are you that convincing with them too?" He rolled his eyes. "You're very bold in my house, you know that?" "You invited me," she reminded him. "Best decision I've made in a long time," he said. The words slipped out without the usual filter. She blinked, taken aback. He didn't try to pull them back. Instead, he leaned his head against the back of the couch and looked at her. Really looked at her. Comfortable clothes, bare face, hair pulled back, toes tucked into the couch cushion. She looked more like herself here than she ever did in the office. "I like seeing you like this," he said quietly. "Like what?" she asked. "Relaxed. Not holding your shoulders so tight. Not wearing those shoes you pretend don't hurt? Her mouth curved. They do hurt, she admitted, but you sign more contracts on days I look put together. His eyes softened. I would sign them anyway, he said. You don't need to look perfect for me. She tilted her head. You always look perfect when you walk into the office, she said. Even at 6 in the morning. That's not true. It is. I wore 2 different socks once, he reminded her. You laughed for 20 minutes. She smiled at the memory. I needed that, she said. It reminded me you're human. He turned his head a little, taking in the way her eyes warmed when she talked about his imperfect moments. Stay, he said suddenly, before he could stop himself. Her eyes widened. Tonight? She asked. He swallowed. Yes, he said, voice lower now. Not for anything more than you want. Not because I expect anything. Just stay. Take that room. Sleep without wondering if I'll text or if the office will call or if someone will bring you gossip about what happened at the pool. Her heart squeezed. Matteo. It's late, he said. You've been working for me long enough to know I hate the way the city looks at night when a woman drives alone. You don't have to go home and pretend you're fine in an empty apartment. He paused. I'll sleep in my room. You sleep in yours. Doors closed. No pressure. Just the knowledge that you're here, under this roof where I know you're safe. It was a lot. It was also exactly what she wanted to hear. No manipulation, no seduction. Just a man asking the woman he cared about to let him protect her in the simplest way he knew. Space. A bed. A room with her things. Her voice softened. What if I say yes? She asked. His shoulders relaxed so visibly she almost laughed. Then I will try to act normal, he said. I'll probably fail, but I'll try. She studied him. You trust yourself? She asked, teasing but serious. He held her gaze. I trust myself not to touch you without permission, he said. I don't trust myself not to walk down that hallway 3 times, pretending I need water just so I know you're really there. He was only half joking. She smiled, heart warm. Okay, she said. He blinked. Okay? I'll stay, she said. Just tonight, just to see how it feels. His eyes softened so much it almost hurt to look at him. Thank you, he said quietly. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. Later, in the room he had shown her, Sarah stood alone, holding one of the soft t-shirts he'd had placed in the dresser, just in case. It was plain, comfortable, new, her size somehow. She slipped it on, feeling a strange mix of comfort and weight. This wasn't just a guest room, it was a decision, an invisible line she had crossed by staying. She brushed her fingers over the spines of the books on the nightstand. Titles she recognized, titles she had once mentioned in passing. A story about a woman who left everything behind, a story about a man learning to be vulnerable. He really had been paying attention. She lay down on the bed and stared at the ceiling. For the first few minutes she heard every sound, a door closing somewhere down the hall. Footsteps. Silence. More footsteps. She smiled to herself. He really was walking back and forth, just like he had joked. She rolled to her side, clutching the blanket. She wasn't afraid. She thought she would be, but she wasn't. She felt held. Even with the door closed and the lights off, she felt like someone was watching over her. The thought scared her and soothed her at the same time. In his own room, Matteo lay on his back, staring at the ceiling in the dark. He could see the hallway in his mind. The door to her room down the hall. He had never been this aware of a door in his own house. He wanted to go knock, not to pull her into his bed, not to push anything further, just to hear her voice one more time. He stayed where he was. You said you would respect her pace, he reminded himself. You don't win her trust by acting like you own her time. He exhaled. For a man who was used to taking what he wanted, learning to wait felt like a new kind of discipline. But the picture of her standing in that room, looking at the bed, touching the books, stayed with him. She had stayed. That was enough. He closed his eyes. For the first time in a long time, he fell asleep thinking not of numbers, deals, or threats, but of a woman in a room just down the hall who had asked if he could love her without pulling her into the darkness, and had still said okay when he asked her to stay. Morning sunlight spilled into the room when Sarah opened her eyes. For a second, she forgot where she was. The sheets were too soft, the window too big, the silence too deep. Then she remembered. His house, her room, last night. Her heart fluttered. A part of her expected a knock on the door. None came. She got up, washed her face, and pulled on the clothes she'd brought in a small overnight bag just in case she changed her mind about staying. When she opened the door, she smelled coffee. Real coffee. The good kind he had delivered to the office but never shared with anyone except her on the worst days. She followed the smell downstairs. He was in the kitchen, back to her, tanned forearms visible, a simple gray t-shirt stretched across his shoulders. He turned at the sound of her steps. For a heartbeat, they just looked at each other. "Good morning," he said softly. "Good morning," she replied. He held up a mug. "I didn't know if you'd want to sleep in," he said. "So I didn't knock. But I made coffee." She stepped closer. "You didn't walk past my door 3 times?" she asked, teasing. He lifted one shoulder, a hint of a smile on his lips. "I said I wouldn't knock," he said. "I didn't say I wouldn't walk past." She laughed. He handed her the mug. Their fingers brushed. A small spark shot up her arm. "Thank you," she said. They drank in comfortable silence. No rush, no schedule, no calls. Eventually, he cleared his throat. "I have a question," he said. She tensed slightly. "Is this a scary question?" she asked. "A little," he admitted. "Okay," she said. "Ask." He braced his hands on the counter as if anchoring himself. "Do you regret staying?" he asked. Her chest squeezed. "No," she said honestly. Some of the tension left his shoulders. "Good," he said, "because I haven't felt this calm waking up in years." "You woke up calm?" she asked, amused. "You checked your phone 3 times while we were drinking coffee." He grimaced. "Calmer," he corrected. "Not cured." She smiled. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She frowned. "I forgot I left it here," she said, picking it up. One new email notification. She tapped the screen, expecting another message from HR. It wasn't. It was from a company she had interviewed with months ago, before she decided to fully commit to working with Mateo. At the time, it had been a just-in-case application. She had almost forgotten about it. Subject line, "Formal offer, Executive Operations Coordinator position." Her stomach dipped. She opened it. The message was clear and kind. They had been impressed with her resume. A position had opened up. They wanted her, good salary, benefits, a clean corporate environment, regular hours, no secrets, no mafia boss who could end a party with 3 words. She felt Mateo's eyes on her before he spoke. "Bad news?" he asked quietly. She forced her expression to stay neutral. "Not exactly," she said. He studied her. "Then what is it?" he asked. She locked the screen, heart pounding a little faster. "Nothing urgent," she answered. "We can talk about it later." He nodded slowly, but something in his face had shifted. She had always been honest with him. The hesitation was new. He didn't push. But as she lifted the mug to her lips again, the warmth of the coffee didn't quite reach the knot in her stomach. Because now, for the first time, she had something she hadn't had before. A different future. A path without him. A life where her heart wasn't on the line every second. And as she stood in his kitchen, wearing clothes she'd brought just in case, drinking coffee he made because he couldn't stand the idea of her waking up alone in his house, she realized she was going to have to choose. Not today. Not this minute. But soon. He watched her with quiet intensity, feeling a shift he could not yet name. He didn't know about the email. He didn't know she had 1 foot in his world and 1 foot somewhere else now. He only knew one thing. He wasn't planning to lose her without a fight, And for the first time, that fight wasn't with anyone outside his walls. It was with the woman drinking coffee across from him, and the life she might decide she wanted without him. Sarah didn't tell him about the email. Not that morning. Not while she was standing in his kitchen, wearing yesterday's jeans, hair still a little messy from sleep, a mug of expensive coffee in her hands, and his eyes on her like she was the only thing holding his world in place. She locked the screen, slid the phone onto the counter, and tried to smile like nothing had shifted. "Do you have meetings today?" she asked, voice as casual as she could manage. "Too many," Matteo said, finishing his coffee. "I pushed some things yesterday to burn pasta for you." Her lips curved. "It was good pasta." He gave a small proud tilt of his head. "I prefer when you say it out loud," he said. "You know, for my ego." "You'll survive," she replied. His gaze softened. He set his mug down and stepped closer, stopping a breath away, giving her plenty of time to move back. She didn't. "Thank you for staying," he said. Those words did something strange to her chest. They weren't casual. They weren't empty. They carried weight. "You made it easy," she replied quietly. "You made it possible," he countered. There was a beat of silence. Then, carefully, he lifted his hand and tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered for half a second longer than necessary. "Do you need a ride home?" he asked. "I drove here, remember?" she said. "I needed my escape route." His mouth tugged into a faint smile. "And yet," he said, "you're still here." "Don't get cocky," she warned. "I could still run. I'd catch you," he said. "I'd like to see you try." They were smiling, but under the banter, something else flowed. Warmth, awareness, the fragile beginning of trust. He dropped his hand, stepping back just enough. "I have to go to the office," he said. "But if you need anything—" "I know," she cut in gently. "You're 2 phone calls, 3 armed guards, and a helicopter away." He gave a short laugh. "I was going to say, a text away," he said. "But yes, those 2. She rolled her eyes. "I'll be fine." He hesitated. "Will you go home?" he asked. "Or home," she said. "I need to think and do regular things, laundry, dishes, question all my life choices." His jaw tightened at that last part, but he didn't argue. "Text me when you get there," he said, "just so I know you're safe." "I will." He walked her to the door. It felt different than any time she had left before. This wasn't her boss seeing out his assistant. This was a man watching a woman he cared about leave and wanting very badly to ask her to stay, and not doing it. At the door, she turned. "Matteo?" "Yeah?" She hesitated, then rose on her toes and pressed a soft kiss to his cheek. His eyes closed for the briefest moment. "Thank you for last night," she said. "For everything." He swallowed. "Thank you for not disappearing," he answered. Her chest squeezed. "I haven't decided anything yet," she warned. He nodded once. "I know," he said. "But you're still here. That's enough for me today." She nodded, stepped back, and walked out. He watched her go until the door shut. Only then did he let himself exhale. On the drive home, the email kept glowing in her mind like a neon sign. Formal offer, executive operations coordinator position, clean company, normal people, regular paychecks, HR that didn't need to hide anything, no late-night calls from a man whose name drew respect and fear in the same breath. No pool parties that ended with her wordless resignation, no kisses in guest rooms that made her question every plan she'd ever had. Her phone buzzed when she parked in front of her building. A message from him. "Let me know when you're inside." She smiled despite the knot in her chest. "I'm home," she typed. "Alive, not kidnapped." His answer was instant. "Good. I only allow myself to breathe when I know that." She stared at the words, then closed her phone and finally opened the email again. "Okay," Emma said, lying belly down on Sarah's couch an hour later, chin on her hands. "On one side we have safe job, normal boss, normal hours, health insurance, office parties where the wildest thing that happens is someone singing badly on karaoke. And on the other side? Sarah asked, curled in the armchair, scrolling silently through the offer again. On the other side, Emma continued, counting on her fingers, we have the man you clearly love, who makes pasta for you in his mansion, gives you your own bedroom, and looks at you like you're more important than his entire empire. Sarah tried not to flinch at the word love. I never said. Oh, please, Emma said. I'd believe you more if you said you're moving to the moon than if you said you don't love him at this point. Sarah groaned, covering her face with one hand. This job is a good offer, she said from behind her fingers. Really good. I applied months ago and honestly thought they had forgotten me. It's stable, it's clean, it's normal. Emma was quiet for a beat. Then, do you want normal? She asked softly. Sarah lowered her hand. I want peace, she said. I'm tired of always being on alert, of wondering what kind of mess will walk through his door next, of feeling like the only person who can hold his world together. And, Emma pressed. And I'm tired of my happiness depending so much on whether or not he looks at me, Sarah whispered. Emma's expression softened. Do you think the new job would fix that? She asked. Because your heart isn't a switch, Sar. You don't quit a man like Matteo and magically stop caring. I know, Sarah said, but maybe distance would help. New people, new routine, new everything. And Matteo? Sarah's throat tightened. Matteo is more than I planned for, she said. He's more than I know how to handle. Does he make you feel safe? Emma asked quietly. Sarah thought about waking up in that soft bed, the smell of coffee drifting under the door, about hearing his footsteps pacing the hallway like he physically couldn't stop checking she was still close. About the way he had said, I will never use what I feel for you as an excuse to control you. Yes, she said, most of the time. And does he make you feel loved? Sarah opened her mouth, closed it. He hasn't said the word, she admitted. But, yeah, in his own intense, slightly terrifying way, he does. Emma nodded slowly. Then don't accept or reject the offer for the wrong reasons, she said. Don't say yes to them just because you're afraid he'll hurt you. And don't say no just because you're afraid to leave him. Sarah let the words sink in. So what do I do? She asked. Talk to him, Emma said simply. Tell him. Let him react. If he tries to trap you or guilt you, run. But if he actually loves you like he says, let him prove it. Sarah stared at the email subject line again. Formal offer. It felt like more than a job. It felt like a fork in the road. I'll tell him, she said finally. Good, Emma replied. And if he messes this up, I'll personally go there and throw the man into his own pool. Sarah laughed weakly. I'd pay to see that. Matteo didn't hear about the offer that day. He felt something off when she replied to his home text with a vague, just thinking about stuff. But he didn't push. He spent the day in meetings that felt blurrier than usual. Numbers, contracts, faces, all dull compared to the memory of her sitting on his kitchen counter, ankles crossed, teasing him about his coffee addiction. By late afternoon, he was staring at the empty chair outside his office again when Liam walked in without knocking, as usual. You have that look, Liam said, dropping into the chair opposite his desk. What look? Matteo asked. The someone has my heart and I don't know what to do with my hands look, Liam said. Very on brand for you this week. Matteo glared half-heartedly. Aren't you supposed to be yelling at people at the warehouse? He asked. I took a break to check if you've cried yet, Liam said. Should I come back later? Get out. Liam stretched his legs out instead. How's Sarah? He asked, tone actually serious now. She stayed last night, Matteo said before he could stop himself. Liam's eyebrows shot up. Oh? In the guest room, Matteo clarified. I cooked dinner. We talked. And nothing else, Matteo said. We're taking it slow. Liam whistled. Who are you and what have you done with my boss? He asked. Matteo ignored that. She hasn't decided if she's coming back to the office, he said, fingers drumming lightly on the desk. I told her I don't care about the job if she doesn't want it. I just want her, Liam finished. Mateo's jaw tensed. Yes. Liam looked at him for a long moment. You know she has options, right? He said gently. She's good at what she does. People talk. Other companies notice. Mateo's gaze sharpened. What are you talking about? Relax, Liam said, holding up his hands. I'm not saying anything happened. I'm just saying, if you think you're the only one who knows her value, you're dumber than you looked when you ended that party. Mateo didn't even have the energy to argue. I know she has options, he said quietly. That's what scares me. Maybe don't focus on fear, Liam suggested. Focus on giving her a reason to choose you that isn't obligation or habit. Mateo stared at the paperwork on his desk. I'm trying, he said. Liam stood, heading for the door. I can see that, he said. For what it's worth, if she picks the other guy, I'll miss her yelling at me about late invoices. Mateo's head snapped up. What other guy? Liam paused. That was hypothetical, he said quickly. Don't kill me. I'm leaving now. He slipped out before Mateo could throw something at him. Left alone, Mateo leaned back in his chair. If she picks the other guy? The thought crawled under his skin and refused to leave. He pulled out his phone. His thumb hovered over her name. Then he typed, Can I see you tonight? No pressure. Just want to know how your thinking is going. He hit send before he could talk himself out of it. Her reply came a minute later. I can meet you, somewhere that's not your house or the office. You choose, he wrote. The park near my building. 7 p.m. I'll be there. The park was quiet at that hour. Soft golden light through the trees. Kids being dragged home by parents. Dogs finishing their last zoomies of the day. Sarah arrived first, sitting on a bench near the small lake, hands tucked into the pockets of her jacket, even though the air was only a little cool. Mateo spotted her from a distance. Not in a suit, no security detail hovering behind him. Just a man in dark jeans, a black sweater, and the look of someone who had thought about every word he was about to say and still felt unprepared. He sat beside her, leaving a small space between them. Hi, he said. Hi. You look good, he said. She glanced at him. You saw me like 12 hours ago, she replied. Still true. The corner of her mouth lifted. They watched a dog chasing a stick into the water for a moment. He spoke first. I've been thinking about your question, he said. About whether I can love you without pulling you into everything that comes with my name. She swallowed. And? She asked. And I realized something, he said. If loving you ever means you're in danger, I'll choose you over whatever causes it. Every time, including my own pride. Her chest tightened. That sounds big, she said. It is, he said simply. You asked for emotional safety, physical too. I can't promise you will never be touched by my world, but I can promise I'll never let it swallow you. A breeze moved through the trees. She pulled her jacket a little tighter. There's something I need to tell you, she said. His heart rate picked up. Okay, he said. She stared at her hands. Remember months ago when you went on that trip and I handled almost everything from the office? She asked. Around that time, I applied for another job. I didn't think I'd get it. It was more of a, let me see if anyone else sees my value thing. His jaw clenched, but he stayed quiet. Today they sent an offer, she said. A good one. Clean company. Normal hours. Solid pay. They want me to start next month. He didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't even blink for a second. When did you find out? He asked finally, voice calm but tight. This morning, she said. Before you asked if I slept. Before coffee. Before everything. You didn't tell me, he said. It wasn't an accusation. It felt more like a bruise. I didn't know how, she admitted. I was still processing, and I didn't want you to think I was using this to manipulate you. His eyes flicked to hers. Are you? He asked. No, she said, shaken that he even needed to ask. I'd never do that to you. Some of the tension left his shoulders. Okay, he said. She blinked. Okay, she echoed. That's it? You got an offer, he said. Of course you did. You're smart. You're good at what you do. You're the person I trust with everything. Someone else finally noticed. You're not angry? She asked. I'm not thrilled, he said honestly. I hate the thought of you in someone else's office organizing someone else's chaos. But angry? No. You're allowed to have options, Sarah. You should have them. I'd be insulted if you didn't. Her eyes burned unexpectedly. Then why do I feel like I just kicked you in the chest? She whispered. Because you care, he said softly. And because you know that if you say yes to them, you're not just changing jobs. You're choosing a life without me in it every day. Her throat closed. He turned slightly on the bench, facing her more fully. Do you want it? He asked. Really want it. Not as an escape, not as a punishment to me, as a dream. She thought about the email, about the company logo she didn't love or hate, the office she had only seen in photos, the people whose names she didn't know. It's good, she said. Stable, safe, predictable. That's not what I asked, he said. She met his eyes. I don't know, she said honestly. Part of me wants the simplicity, no secrets, no danger, no, you. He flinched. She rushed on. And part of me can't imagine waking up knowing I'll never see your name flash on my screen again. Never argue with you about calendar overlaps. Never bring you coffee before a meeting because I can tell when your migraines are starting. Never sit outside your door knowing I'm the one thing standing between you and total chaos. His voice was low. Then it's not a simple choice, he said. No, she said. It's not. He inhaled slowly. I won't tell you what to do, he said. I won't offer you more money or a bigger title or some shiny thing to keep you. I promised I wouldn't trap you, and I meant it. Her breath hitched. But if I'm honest, he continued, I will say this. The idea of you leaving that world and stepping into one where I'm just a name you used to organize makes my chest hurt in ways I didn't know it could. She stared at him. He held her look, nothing but raw honesty in his eyes. If you choose that job, he said, voice slightly rough, I'll take it. I'll let you go. I won't show up at your new office or send people to convince you. I'll just miss you every day. A tear slipped down her cheek. And if I choose you? She whispered. He exhaled, like he'd been holding that question in his lungs. If you choose me, he said, I won't let you stand outside my door anymore. She frowned, confused. What? I don't want you to be the one outside, he said. Not the woman out there while I'm in here. Not the assistant in the hallway while I sit at the head of the table pretending you're not the reason I make half my decisions. Then he dropped the bomb. If you stay, he said, I want a different role for you. Not as my secretary, as my right hand, my partner in the business, in the office with me, in the meetings, sitting at the table, not waiting outside it. Her mouth fell open. Partner? She repeated, stunned. In the work, he said, and if you let me, in everything. Her heart pounded. That's a big change, she said. I know, he replied, but you earned it long before I admitted how I feel. You've been acting like a partner for years, just without the title. She blinked fast. Do you realize what you're saying? She asked. Do you realize how different that is from assistant? Yes, he said. I also realize that if you leave, I'll be looking at that empty chair outside my office, knowing I lost the woman I should have brought in instead of keeping at a distance. Her eyes filled. He reached out very slowly, giving her time to refuse, and brushed away the tear with his thumb. I'm not asking you to choose tonight, he said. Take the offer, read it, talk to them, talk to me. But whatever you decide, do it for you. Not for me, not against me, for you. She sniffed, laughing weakly through the tears. Why are you being so good about this? She asked. You do know you're terrifying, right? You could make a few calls and have them lose my resume. He gave a short, humorless laugh. I thought about it, he admitted. For about 5 seconds. Then I remembered the face you made at the pool and realized that if I ever did that, I'd lose you for real. Her lips curved, even as tears kept falling. You're learning, she said softly. I have the best teacher, he replied. They sat there for a moment, everything raw and quiet. Finally, she inhaled shakily. They want an answer by Monday, she said. I told them I'd think about it over the weekend. He nodded once. Then you have time, he said. And so do I. To do what? She asked. He held her gaze. To show you what it looks like when you're not just anything in my life, he said. Not just an assistant. Not just a woman I'm jealous over. But the person I choose every day. Her chest twisted. Matteo, walk with me, he said, standing and offering his hand. If this is our last week together, I'm not spending it on a bench. She looked at his hand. Warm, steady, waiting. She slid her fingers into his. They fit so naturally it scared her. They walked through the park as the light faded, the city humming around them, talking about small things for a while, childhood stories, embarrassing moments, favorite movies. Nothing about job offers, nothing about empires. Just two people who, for a few minutes, let themselves pretend they weren't standing at the edge of a decision that could rearrange both their lives. That night, after she went home and he drove back to the mansion, they both sat in front of screens they didn't want to look at. She opened the job offer again. Salary, benefits, responsibilities. He opened his laptop and called his lawyer. I want a new contract drafted, Matteo said. Position, Executive Operations Director. Duties, everything Sarah already does, plus decision-making authority. Salary, higher than any offer she's likely to get anywhere else, but I'm not leading with that. This isn't about money, not this time. The lawyer hesitated. Is this about Ms. Davis? He asked. Yes, Matteo said simply. And if she says no? Matteo's jaw tightened. Then I file it away and never show it to anyone, he said. And I find out if a man can function without the person he was stupid enough to push away. The lawyer cleared his throat. I'll have a draft ready by tomorrow, he said. Good. Matteo hung up and leaned back, rubbing a hand over his face. Across town, Sarah closed her laptop without answering the offer yet. She lay down in bed, staring at the dark ceiling, heart pulled in two directions. A clean, quiet office she could walk into without her chest tightening. Or the man whose voice alone could make her feel like the rest of the world had gone silent. She didn't know yet which life she would choose. But she knew this much. Whatever answer she gave on Monday wasn't just about a job. It was about who she wanted to be. The woman who walked away for safety. Or the woman who risked her heart on a mafia boss who was learning, one painful step at a time, how to love someone without breaking them. And somewhere between job offers and new contracts she didn't know existed yet, both of them fell asleep with the same thought. Please let them choose me. They just didn't know that the next time they met, the choice would no longer be something they could ignore. It would be standing between them, impossible to avoid. And one of them would finally have to say it out loud. Monday came too fast. Sarah woke before her alarm, heart already racing. This was the day. The company from the email had reminded her on Friday. We'll need an answer by Monday, end of day. We're excited about the possibility of you joining us. Excited. She wasn't sure she was. She poured coffee and stared at her laptop on the kitchen table like it might bite her. She could hear Emma's voice in her head. Don't choose out of fear. Don't stay out of fear. Choose out of truth. Her phone buzzed. She didn't need to look to know who it was. Matteo, good morning. I know today is important. I'm not asking you for an answer. I just want you to know I'm thinking about you. She exhaled slowly. Then another message. If you're willing, I'd like to see you before you reply to them. At the office. One last time, even if you're only coming to say goodbye. Her chest tightened. The office, her chair, her desk, their world. She typed, "What time?" His response was immediate. "Any time you choose." She looked at the clock. It was only 8 a.m. 10 a.m., she wrote. I'll go in at 10. I'll be waiting, he replied. She stared at the screen a moment longer, then closed the laptop over the job offer without answering it. Not yet. The building felt the same. Glass doors, security desk, elevator ping, familiar smell of coffee and paper. But as soon as she stepped out onto their floor, the air changed. People looked up. Some smiles, some relief, some curiosity. "Sarah," one of the accountants whispered. "You're back?" She smiled politely. "Just visiting," she said. Her heart pounded harder with every step toward his office. Her chair was still there, her desk, her pen, her plant that someone had clearly watered. Someone had also left a sticky note on the monitor. "We miss you." Also, the printer hates us now. Accounting. She almost laughed. Almost. She didn't sit. She walked straight to his door. It was closed. She lifted her hand to knock. Before she could, his voice came from inside. "Come in, Sarah." Of course he knew it was her. She opened the door and stepped in. He was standing by the window, suit jacket off, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened. A contract sat on the desk between two folders. His eyes went straight to her. Every time she saw him after a few days apart, he looked a little different. Less like Mr. Conti, more like the man who cooked pasta barefoot and paced outside her door. "Hi," she said. "Hi," he replied. For a moment, neither moved. Then he nodded toward the chair across from his desk. "Sit," he said softly. "Please." She sat. He walked around the desk, not to sit behind it, but to lean against the edge, closer to her level. Everything about him was more open today, less distance, less armor. "Did you sleep?" he asked. "Barely," she admitted. "Me neither." Silence settled between them. She broke it. "I haven't answered them yet," she said. "The other company." He nodded once, controlled. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For giving me a chance to speak before you decide," he said. Her gaze dropped to the contract on the desk. "What is that?" she asked. He glanced at it, then back at her. "This," he said slowly, "is what it looks like when I stop pretending you're just anything in my life." Her pulse kicked up. He slid the document toward her, turning it so she could read it. At the top, in clean letters, Executive Operations Director, Conti Group name, Sarah Davis. Her heart hammered. Her eyes moved down the first page. Job description, strategic decisions, authority in operations, approval power on contracts, seat at all high-level meetings. It was not an assistant role. It was a partner in the business role. Her throat dried. "You did this?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "And my lawyer still thinks I'm insane." She let out a shaky half laugh. "This is more than I expected," she said honestly. "It's what you've been doing without the title," he replied. "I'm just catching up." She looked up at him. "This won't fix what you did at the pool," she said quietly. "I know," he said. "This isn't an apology contract. You already got my apology. This is alignment between what you mean to this place and what's written on paper." She swallowed. "What about the heart part?" she asked softly. "Because we both know this isn't just about work." His eyes darkened. "No," he said. "It's not." He pushed away from the desk and came around to sit in the chair beside her instead of behind the desk. Close, not looming. "At the park," he said. "You asked what it would mean if you chose me. Not just the job. Me." She nodded. "I've been thinking about that all weekend," he continued. "Not as a boss planning a promotion. As a man planning a life." Her breath caught. He didn't look away. "If you choose them," he said, "I will miss you. I will live with it. I will leave you alone and let you build something without my shadow over it." Her eyes stung. "But if you choose me," he went on, voice thicker now, "I will spend every day proving that you weren't crazy for risking your heart on me." She stared. He took a breath. "Which brings me to the part I should have said a long time ago, in a much less dramatic setting than a Monday morning in the office. He leaned forward a little, forearms resting on his thighs, hands clasped. I love you, Sarah Davis. The words landed like a physical thing. Her lungs forgot how to work. He held her gaze, no turning back now. I tried to ignore it. He went on quietly. I tried to bury it under work, meetings, anything I could control. I told myself you were essential, necessary, important in a professional way. But the truth is, somewhere between your first day with that wrong name tag and last week when I watched you walk away from my pool, something happened. His voice dropped. I fell in love with you. A tear slid down her cheek before she could stop it. He didn't reach for her yet. I love the way you storm into my office when you think I forgot to eat, he said. I love the way you talk to people who outrank you on paper like they're not above you. I love that you care about my people, even when I forget to show it. I love that you make my house feel less like a fortress and more like a home just by being in it. More tears joined the first. I love that you argue with me, he added, a small, rough laugh leaving him. I love that you look at me like a man and not just a name people whisper about. I love that losing you terrifies me more than any enemy I've ever had. He exhaled, shoulders dropping some of their constant tension. I'm in love with you, he said simply. And I don't want you to go. The room went very quiet. The city outside might as well not exist. Say something, he whispered after a long moment. Even if it's too late, just something. She laughed through the tears, a broken little sound. It's not too late, she said. That's the problem. He blinked. It's not? No, she said, shaking her head, wiping at her cheeks. I tried to prepare myself for this conversation. I tried to imagine what it would be like if you didn't care. Or if you did, but not enough. And instead you sit here and say everything I was afraid to admit I wanted to hear. He swallowed hard. Then what's stopping you? He asked. Is it the other job? She looked down at the contract again. Partly, she admitted. It's a good offer. It's security. It's a normal life. And me? He asked. You are everything but normal, she said, a shaky smile appearing. You are risk. You are intensity. You are late nights and heavy decisions and the best feeling I've ever had when I walk into a room. His breath hitched. But you're also the man who stood in my doorway and said he couldn't breathe at the thought of losing me, she added softly. The man who cooked for me and gave me a room with books I like. The man who paced outside my door like a restless teenager just to make sure I slept. He closed his eyes briefly, like he was trying not to drown in her words. So, she said, voice trembling, I guess I have to decide whether I want a clean life. She lifted her eyes to his. Or a life with you. Time stretched. He didn't move, didn't push, didn't bargain. He just watched her, heart in his eyes. She took a breath, feeling the weight of it settle in her chest. I read the other offer 3 times, she said. I imagined myself walking into their lobby, meeting their team, learning their systems, and every time something felt flat, safe, but flat. He gripped his hands tighter together to stop himself from reaching for her. Then I imagined not coming here, she went on. Not seeing this desk, not hearing my name in your voice, not getting annoyed when you ignore your lunch. Not us. Her voice broke. And it felt like losing color, she whispered. He stared at her. I don't want a life without color, Mateo, she said. I want a life where I am scared sometimes, but never because I'm unloved or disrespected. I want a life where the man I choose chooses me, every day, even when it's hard. His eyes burned. Can you be that man? She asked. Not perfect, not always calm, but mine? He didn't hesitate. Yes, he said, voice rough. Every day, in ways I know how and in ways I'm still learning. I will make mistakes. I'll mess up. But I will not stop choosing you. Tears blurred her vision again. She laughed through them, shaking her head. Then I guess I have my answer, she whispered. He froze. You do? He asked. She nodded. I'm choosing you, she said. For a second he didn't seem to understand. Then it hit. His face changed, the tension, the fear, the walls, all cracking at once. You're staying? He asked, needing to hear it clearly. I'm staying, she said. Not just as your assistant, as your partner, in this office, in your life. If you really mean everything you just said. He let out a breath that sounded almost like a laugh and a sob tangled together. I meant every word, he said. He moved then, slowly, but with purpose. He reached out, giving her time to back away, and when she didn't, he cupped her face in his hands. She leaned into his touch like she had been waiting for it forever. I love you, he said again, more certain now. And I am so unbelievably grateful you're crazy enough to love me back. She smiled through tears. Who said I love you back? She teased weakly. His eyes widened. Do you? He asked, suddenly nervous. She laughed softly. Yes, idiot, she whispered. Of course I do. I've been in love with you longer than I want to admit. You were just too busy glaring at your calendar to notice. A broken, joyful sound left his chest. Say it, he said, eyes locked on hers. Please. She didn't make him wait. I love you, Matteo Conti, she said. Even when you cancel pool parties, even when you don't sleep, even when you drive me insane, I love you. He kissed her. Not like the hesitant first kiss in the guest room. This one was full. Sure, relieved. She melted into him, hands gripping his shirt, his thumbs brushing away the last of her tears. There was nothing rushed or rough in it, just promise. When they finally pulled apart, foreheads resting together, both breathing hard, he whispered, Please tell me you're going to email them. She laughed breathlessly. I am. Now, he said, before I think this is a dream. She pulled back, still smiling, wiped her face with the back of her hand, and stood. He stood too, watching. She walked to his desk, opened her laptop, the one she had used 1,000 times for schedules and reports, and this time opened her personal email. The job offer sat there, waiting. She clicked, reply. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. He came to stand beside her, close enough that she could feel his presence, but he didn't tell her what to write. She typed, Thank you so much for the offer and for considering me for this position. After careful thought, I've decided to decline. I truly appreciate the opportunity and wish your team all the best. She read it once, twice, then hit send. The email whooshed away. Her heart pounded. Reality hit. That's it, she whispered. I just said no to a normal life. He slipped an arm around her waist, pulling her gently against his side. No, he murmured against her hair. You just said yes to the one you actually want. She closed her eyes for a second, soaking in the feeling. When she opened them, he was looking at her with that soft, almost disbelieving fondness she was starting to recognize as his, for her only look. What now? She asked. Now, he said with a small, crooked smile, I ask you to officially sign that new contract. And then I take you downstairs and tell everyone you're not just the woman who saves my schedule. You're the woman who saves me. Her cheeks flushed. You don't have to tell them about us, she said. I know I don't have to, he said. I want to. I'm not hiding you, not in this office, not in my life. Her eyes shone. Careful, she joked softly. People may start thinking you have a heart. They can think what they like, he replied. I know who it belongs to. She swallowed hard. He put the contract in front of her. Take your time, he said. Read it. Tear it apart. Negotiate it. You taught me well. She laughed, picking up the pen. I will, she said. You're not getting away with anything. I hope not. She read enough to see it was real, fair, generous, respectful. No hidden traps. No fine print meant to cage her. Just recognition and a place at his side. She signed. He watched as her name flowed across the line. For Matteo, it felt bigger than any deal he had ever closed. There, she said, setting the pen down. Executive Operations Director. He grinned. How does it feel? Terrifying, she said. And right. He reached for her hand, threading their fingers together. "Perfect," he said. "That's how we'll know it's ours." When they stepped out of his office, conversations dipped again. People stared at her, at him, at their joined hands. Matteo didn't let go. "Everybody," he called out. Heads turned. Even people from down the hall shifted closer, curiosity pulling them in. "You all know Sarah," he said, voice strong but easy. "You know she's been keeping this place from falling apart for 2 years. I've decided it's time her title matched what she actually does." Murmurs. He continued. "Starting today, she is Executive Operations Director," he said. "My right hand. If you need something approved, you talk to her. If she says something, it's as good as if it came from me." Eyes widened. Someone clapped, then others joined. Soon the whole floor was applauding. Color rushed to Sarah's cheeks. She wasn't used to this, being seen, not behind him, beside him. Matteo squeezed her hand. "And for anyone who's going to gossip anyway," he added dryly. "Yes, I care about her, a lot. Yes, we're together. No, that's not why she got the promotion. She earned it before I caught up with my own feelings." Laughter rippled through the room. Liam, who had appeared near the elevator, let out a loud, satisfied, "Finally." Matteo shot him a look. Liam just grinned, hands in his pockets. "Congratulations, boss," he called to Matteo. Then to Sarah. "And to you. You'll need even more patience now that you're dating him." Sarah laughed. "I know," she said. The tension in the room eased. It didn't feel scandalous. It felt right, like something that had been leaning that way for a long time finally clicked into place. Later, when the buzz had gone back to normal and people returned to their desks, Matteo led her back into the office and closed the door. For the first time, it didn't feel like shutting the world out. It felt like shutting them in. He turned to her, leaning back against the door, watching her with a look that was softer than any congratulations. "How are you?" he asked. She took a breath, letting it all wash over her. The email, the contract, the promotion, the declaration. "I'm scared," she said honestly, "and happy, and overwhelmed, and very in love with you." His smile was slow, genuine. "Good," he said. "I'd be worried if you weren't at least 2 of those things." She stepped closer. "What about you?" she asked. "You okay with all of this?" He nodded. "I've closed a lot of deals," he said, "made a lot of promises, protected a lot of things that mattered to me. But this, choosing you, and having you choose me back, this is the first time it feels like I'm not just protecting something. I'm building something." Her throat tightened. He slid his hands gently around her waist, pulling her close, eyes never leaving hers. "Our life isn't going to be simple," he said. "My world isn't easy. But I promise you this. I will never make you feel like that girl at the pool again. Alone. Exposed. Confused about where you stand with me." Her voice shook. "Where do I stand with you?" she asked. He answered without hesitation. "Right here," he said. "In my office, in my home, in my future, next to me." She rose on her toes and kissed him, soft, certain. He kissed her back like a man who finally knew where he was meant to be. When they broke apart, she rested her head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Matteo," she murmured. "Yes? Promise me one more thing. Anything." "If you ever feel jealous again," she said, "especially near a pool, you come talk to me first before ending the party." He laughed, the sound vibrating under her cheek. "I promise," he said. "Though for the record, if any man flirts with you in a bikini again, I still reserve the right to be very, very annoyed." "As long as you don't humiliate me," she replied, smiling. "You can be annoyed all you want." He pressed a kiss to the top of her head. "Deal," he said. "But between you and me," he pulled back enough to look at her, eyes warm and playful now. "I plan on being the only man you feel like flirting with at any pool from now on," he added. Her smile widened. "Keep cooking pasta and saying things like you did today," she said, "and you might get what you want." He kissed her again, slower this time, tasting the future they were both choosing. A future not free of risk or fear, but full of something better. Choice, respect, love. And this time, when he thought about the words, "party's over," they didn't taste like endings anymore. They tasted like the last line of a chapter. Because with Sarah by his side, there was no doubt in his mind. Their real story was only just beginning.